It's so bad for a country when young people start leaving, especially the brighter ones. It's one of those economic signals that people don't really pay attention to as much as they should, because it isn't a raw dollar or a pound figure. It's not a big scary number, but really it's just evidence that a country's future potential is leaking out. Like if the potential was a bucket full of water, right? And it has a hole in it and that's slowly leaking out. That's what's happening to the UK. The ONS revised its emigration, different to immigration. Immigration is when people leave, right? Emigration data last year. More than 250,000 British citizens left the UK in a single year. There are British passport holders just walking out. They're just leaving the country. And it gets worse when you zoom in on who the people are. It's people UK can't afford to lose. Nearly 5,000 foreign trained doctors left the UK at the end of 2025. That's up 26% year on year. 42% of licensed UK doctors qualified abroad. So the NHS has a homegrown brain drain and an imported drain too, happening at the exact same time. Very similar to South Africa or any nation that is falling to pieces. Young, educated people leave. But let's focus on South Africa because it's in the title. I read a stat about them that I just can't get out of my head. Among young South African graduates, intent to emigrate went from 39% in 2021 to 90% in 2024. I said that at the start, so it's not a surprise. That's an absurd number. The brain drain in South Africa is driven by people who could fix the country, refusing to stay in a country that won't let them fix it, which is just what is happening in the UK. And when the fixers leave, nothing gets fixed. This is true of Italy, it's true of Greece, and much of Europe, to be honest, these days. But you know what's weird? Poland had this problem for a long time, and they somehow turned it around. Polish people immigrated to the UK for a long time, and now they're doing the same. They're leaving the UK and going back home. So it is fixable if a country gets its act together. But why are so many British people leaving their homes? I've talked about a few reasons, but there's another big reason. Checkpoint 3. The infrastructure is just falling apart. Now, this is another one of those signs of a failing economy that doesn't really make the front page because it's not a big, scary number, but it's a key sign that things are getting bad in the UK. And I'll give you an example. Thames Water. In the first 6 weeks of 2026, Thames Water dumped 80,000 hours of sewage into England's waterways. That's a weird way to measure sewage, but what it means is, apart from it being disgusting, by the way, it's a sign of infrastructure collapsing because it just cannot cope. But you don't need to track sewage to see this. Thames Water is battling a $3 billion bailout crisis right now. There's a massive call for nationalisation. Basically, the government takes control of the company, which sounds okay on paper, but then you have to remember how incompetent the UK government actually is. Anyway, the point is that London is one of the most expensive cities on the planet, and they can't even manage their water properly. Actually, do you know how much it rains in the UK, by the way? It's basically a swimming pool. This should be the least of their problems. Water. They can't even get water right in a place that rains like 200 days out of the year? It shouldn't be a problem like it is in South Africa. At least Johannesburg has an excuse that it's a bloody desert. Nearly half of Johannesburg's water is lost to leaks, theft, burst pipes before it even reaches the tap. Nearly half of South African wastewater treatment systems are officially in a critical state, dumping raw sewage straight into rivers like the UK. Johannesburg residents go weeks without mains water. They have a word for it. They call it water shedding. Look at Thames Water and look at Joburg's water and tell me with a straight face that Britain isn't going along the same path. But it's not just water, by the way. The rail network, roads, bridges, energy, the power network, housing, building, digital infrastructure, local government and public services, trash collection, hospitals. The country is falling to pieces. Fiscal squeeze for local councils is spreading across the UK. Over the last decade, more and more reports have flagged structural funding gaps for councils, which underpin everything from social care and children's services to libraries, planning, local roads. You can't blame young people for wanting to get out when their town is falling apart around them. Over the last decade or two, as they've grown up, they've seen their beautiful town falling to pieces. By the way, guys, if you want to stay updated with what's happening on the markets and my personal strategies, make sure you subscribe to my free newsletter. Like I said, it's free. I publish a report on everything you need to know about the markets every single morning. Basically, I read 20 to 30 articles, I summarize them so you don't have to. There's a link below.